What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Whole Reffin' Show. I'm Jamie,
Hey, I'm Julia.
and we're here again.
Hey, y'all.
That's right. Hey, y'all. It's been about a week and a half since we did our last podcast, roughly around that time.
hmm
Lots happened, and this week on this episode, of course, I thought we would talk about, and it's called Carolina Memories,
Okay.
because my
Yes.
career started off in North Carolina.
Yes.
And I got some stories that just driving through Charlotte made me think of stuff that I hadn't thought about in quite many years.
Okay. Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, sometimes that's how it happens. You hear a song, you see a street, you think of a town,
hmm
or whatever the case may be, you start thinking about a memory.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened on Thanksgiving weekends when we was down in Charlotte. My nephew's a Panthers fan. He's 15 years old.
hmm
Gavin loves the Panthers, and they just so happen to be playing Tampa Bay, and we're Tampa Bay Bucks
Yes.
fans, and we became Bucks fans after living in Florida for over 10 years,
Yes.
and made a lot of good friends down there. Had a lot of good times in Florida, but a lot of chapters open and close, and for the time being, the chapter in Florida was closed, and now we're up in Virginia now, and
hmm
I miss all my friends down there, but had a lot of good times,
Yeah.
and don't regret any of that time down there. But that's how we became Buccaneer fans, going to games down there. Did the thing, living there, and so anyway, we go to this game. It was Sunday the 1st, which was not yesterday, but the Sunday before.
Yes.
And they had one heck of a game. There was a couple turnovers, fumbles, touchdown not being counted for Carolina,
Yeah.
some kicks not being counted for a kick not being counted for Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
But it was a good game, back and
That's a good
forth.
game.
Yes, went back into overtime, and the first team to score in overtime is the team that wins. And if they don't score within 10 minutes of overtime, it's actually a tie.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes.
Okay. I thought you
So,
had to score.
no,
How do you tie a game? You just both
I
win.
guess they play that 10 minutes, nobody scores, tie game.
That'd have been cool.
Yeah.
But Tampa won.
Tampa won by 3 points by a
Yes.
field goal, 26-23. I actually thought Carolina was going to beat us, and
I
to
did
be
too.
honest,
Yeah.
even though I'm a Buccaneers fan, I was actually hoping Carolina won, guys. Now hear me out.
Yes.
So my nephew's first actual game, he could have saw his team win,
Yes.
but not the case. And a little ribbon was going on, but he's a good sport, and
Yeah,
he
he
just
is.
laughs at it, and
Yeah.
so it's a good thing.
Yeah. I think he had a good time.
I think so too.
I did.
We were there the whole weekend.
Mhm.
Went out to dinner on Saturday night after being there Saturday afternoon in Charlotte, downtown, uptown is what they call it there, uptown
Yeah.
Charlotte. And the next day was the game day. Did that all the festivities with my nephew, and went to the game, and went back out to dinner again afterwards, and just had a really good weekend. And I'm really glad we got to do it with him, and cherish the moments that we get to keep.
Yes. It's
So you got
important.
anything to add from the weekend?
I saw some weird stuff.
Well, that happens. Yeah. Well, I see that here.
Yeah, that's also true.
Yeah.
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 Street things going on.
Yeah. The leaf
Yeah.
blower was
Yeah.
kind of disturbing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Homeless people were sleeping in front of the restaurant.
Yeah.
A nice restaurant.
Yep.
Which I understand.
Mhm.
So we paid a lot of money to eat there.
Yep.
And come out, and the guy is taking the leaf blower and blowing the people sleeping on the street.
Yeah. Trying to
With
get them
the
to
leaf
move.
blower, they don't move a muscle.
I've never seen that before in my life before. I'll be honest.
And people are getting
Yeah.
angry, and the guy's like, "Hey, I'm just doing my job."
Doing my job, yes, and I'm
And,
sure.
and he is.
I'm
But
sure he is, and
when
you got to
you-
look at both sides. You're going to look at him and say he's a jerk, but he's doing his
He
job for
is.
business purposes. And then you got to look at the whatever the situation of the human
Yeah.
being that's laying there. You're feeling bad for them, but at the same time, you're like,
It's very
it-
uncomfortable.
yeah,
It's not
it
a
is a
good-
very
yeah.
uncomfortable scene just to see that. And
Yeah.
but I get where the business people are coming from, but I also have empathy for the homeless person because you don't know what they went through. None of us do. So
No.
that's why I really don't
Yeah.
judge anyone that's on the street.
There was a lot of that. A lot more than I expected.
Yeah, but not just in Charlotte. We saw.
No,
I
I
mean,
know.
we got it here in Roanoke. It's really bad too, and a lot of people make fun of that. But yes, I don't find it funny at all.
Never seen him.
Yeah. So.
He's the leaf blower.
I was caught off guard. I thought he was just blowing leaves, but then I thought, why is he doing this at 9:00 at night?
Yes.
Why is he blowing leaves at 9:00 at night? So, it's because it was somebody under the blankets, and I didn't even notice that.
I guess it's a nice way to say move.
Well, my nephew told me, he's like, "There's people underneath there." I'm like, "No, they're not." He's like, "Yes, they are."
Yeah, I knew that.
Yeah, I didn't catch that at first.
What the hell do you think was under there?
I didn't. I didn't
Just
even.
a bunch of blankets.
I didn't see the blankets laying there. All I saw was the leaves. I did not see nothing but the guy with the leaf blower, and I'm like, that's really odd to blow leaves at 9:00 on a Saturday night. But whatever.
Yes.
But yeah.
It was cold. Yes.
Yeah, very cold. It's been very cold for a while, and finally it got up in the 60s here in Virginia yesterday, 60s today, and I kind of enjoyed that after all this 20, and it's only been 30-degree weather, but with the wind chill factors around here the last week, it's been feeling like it's 20. So it's crazy. I'm glad it warmed up for a few days. Yeah. I'm not going to complain at all about that. So that's what brings us to today. We went to Carolina, Carolina Memory Stories. I'm sure you've heard these before, but you've heard so much wrestling talk from me, you probably don't remember it all.
Are you talking to me?
Yes.
Okay.
Looking right at you.
I'm sure I have.
Yes.
Okay.
So, but if some of you guys that know me listen to this, that have been friends with me for years, and some of y'all know my stories too, but you may have forgot them, or maybe I haven't brought these specific ones up because why? I have a lot.
I have a lot of stories.
Yes. Long time in the business, you get a lot of stories. Long time in anything, you get a lot of stories.
Well, at least you don't tell the same story every time.
I'm not going to. That's one thing I'm going to try to refrain from. And if you catch it, please tell me.
Okay.
Yeah. If anyone else out there catches me telling the same stories repeatedly over and over and over, please send me an email. Say, hey, dude, you did that on episode 3 or whatever. So you get what I'm saying.
Okay.
So let's talk about something good here. Let's talk about Cowboy Revolution Apparel Company is the company that is for the veterans by veterans. And you can't go wrong. Go to cowboyrevolution.com. Enter the code JamieT at checkout. JamieT123, I'm sorry. Get 15% off your purchase. That's JamieT123.
All right.
And get 15% off your purchase. Go give it a look. It is the holidays, Christmas. Today is the 9th. So you're, what are we, 15, 16 days out? I think we're 15, right? Yeah. So I'm looking forward to Christmas. I always do. I love Christmas. Yes. All right. Let's move forward here. So we're going to talk about stories from the early days when I broke in the business, as well as some other later years in the Carolinas on the indie circuit. Year specifically, we probably brought up today's stories would be 93, 94, 95, late 90s, and so forth. Yeah. And one more thing for promoters that book wrestling events that need or want to bring my services in to referee for your show, or if you want me to come in just to do a meet and greet to see everyone, come in for a seminar for your local talent, teach them the whereabouts in the ring of being, because I've been on television many times, go over the psychology and so forth in the business, and go over refereeing skills with the referees. Or if you want to bring our podcast, both of us, to your event, let us know. We can appear. Julia would be more than happy to come with me.
Yes, I would.
We are like two peas in a pod,
I like
and
to travel.
Yes,
even if it's down the road.
She is. Not only is she my wife for almost 25 years coming up, but she is my best friend. And whenever we get to spend a day together, a trip together, or whatever it may be, I am more than delighted. So let's make it happen. So this is what you got to do to get in contact with me. you got to email wrestleref123@gmail.com. It's the same email address that you send in your questions and comments for the podcast on.
Right.
So just send that in. Say, hey, I'm a promoter. I have these shows here, there, whatever. We'd like to bring you in to referee, do the seminars, do a signing, whatever it may be. Or if you've got questions for the podcast only, send that into that email address, wrestleref123@gmail.com. And I'm so delighted to be the first one to announce this. We're going to call next year's tour. Now listen, guys. Listen, folks. I am excited about this.
Okay.
It's Hot Dog and a Handshake Tour 25.
What the hell does that mean?
Hot dog and a handshake, babe. So the old thing about
Yes, explain.
On the independent circuit, the hot dog and a handshake was a joke made that the promoter would give you a hot dog and a handshake, right? Not saying you didn't make some kind of money, but it was a joke that the payoffs were so bad that you
the hot
dog and a handshake. So hot dog and a handshake tour is happening in 25, and yours truly, Mr. 2020 Jamie Tucker, is the one doing it. And email me if you want to be on that tour list.
All right.
All right. I'm excited. What about you?
I am.
That's right. I feel like you're in the Amazon commercial right now.
Why?
Woo!
Woo!
Mine was more like a flare, but you get what I'm getting at.
Is that what they do in Amazon commercials?
It's not like flare, but it's
like
okay. Woo! Or something. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Almost like an owl. Yeah. So I'm looking at my notes here. So let's go back here. I wrote down little things because it popped in my head, these little stories. And I've always been told, and you're really big about telling me, if you think about something you want to talk about, write it down because
you'll forget.
You'll forget. And you're right.
Especially when you're getting older.
Not just that. Life is busy, and you're older too. I agree, but not just
I'm
that.
older.
Well, we both are.
Okay.
Yes. All right. So, guys, listen. So, we're driving down I-85 in Charlotte. And this is when we're leaving Charlotte. It popped in my head. And we come up towards the exit, Sugar Creek Road. Sugar Creek Road, growing up, for me, because I grew up in Charlotte, my mom actually worked off Sugar Creek Road there. And that's how I got to know it. I was a small child. My dad would sometimes take us to go meet her to have lunch on our lunch breaks and stuff like that. During the summer and stuff, because we had to go to school or whatever during the other part of the year. But stuff like that. So anyway, Sugar Creek Road, I know a lot about Charlotte. Eastway, Sugar Creek Central. Anybody who lives in Charlotte, knows anything about Charlotte, knows these roads I'm talking about. Eastland Mall used to be there, and that was the big mall in the 80s.
It used to be a big thing.
Yeah, we grew up, went to Eastland Mall all the time. I remember growing up as a kid, I got to go there to a Rock and Roll Express signing at the Belk store.
Wow.
Yeah.
The Belk store.
On a Saturday morning in 1987.
It was hitting back then.
Did you hear the year I just said?
1987.
1987.
1987.
I was 9 years old. Yes. Okay. So moving forward.
Okay.
That's a story I didn't mean to add in there. It came to me as well. But this story I was thinking about the other day as we drove by I-85 in Charlotte. I actually told it to you in the car. Mm-hmm. So we're coming back from some town in Carolina, and it's wintertime. I cannot think of the town. I want to say, being that we're coming back up 85, it was probably
Spartanburg?
Kings Mountain, Spartanburg area, somewhere. Where we ran Inman, South Carolina, which is outside of Spartanburg.
I don't know where the hell that is.
It's outside of Spartanburg.
Okay.
Stallion would never run Spartanburg because that town, you know who Jay Eagle is.
Yeah.
Jay Eagle
that was his.
He had it. Well, no one owned a town ever, but I hate that. I hate when promoters say they own shit.
Yes.
But
that's mine.
Yeah, it's so stupid. But no, we were coming back from, I want to say Inman, because during that time we had started running Inman in early 1994.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure this happened in 94. The ring truck was a big box truck. We talked about it before, like a Ryder U-Haul type truck. Okay. And the truck was broke down.
Did y'all rent that or just had that?
Stallion owned that. He bought that.
How the hell do you own that? You just bought that?
He bought it and owned it.
Okay.
Yep. But it was having
asking questions
having some troubles. And So he rented. This is how we got the ring run. This is no lie. He rented a. I believe this time it was a some kind of utility van and a trailer to pull the ring in. I want to say. I'm trying.
Do that?
I'm trying to think. No. You know what? We loaded it in the back of the big van. That's what it was.
That fit in a van?
It was a 16-foot ring and hung out the back of the door. Yes. This is an all true story. And that's exactly what it was. And it was in this van and it hung out the door. And so we'd shut the door as far as we could with like bungee cords and then tie a red
flag at the end.
Yes. There you go.
I remember, yeah.
Well, Stallion.
That made it legal. As long as you got that little red flag on.
No one pulled us over, and no one pulled anybody over that did that. So it must have been a thing.
Must have been a thing.
But
shit ain't flying nowadays.
No. So we drive. I was riding with Stallion to these shows at this time.
In the van?
Yes.
Weird.
Well, back in the day when I first started working with him, in the big box truck, Stallion would drive, and George South would ride with him. We had talked about this before, and we still need to I'd like to actually talk to the people involved to see what the problem was, if they want to speak on it. But they had a little bit of a apartness, I'll call it. And they were apart for a while. And so I started riding in the truck with Stallion. Or this time.
So now you're in the van.
Yes, the van.
Let's get back on the van.
So we're driving.
We're driving in the van.
Hold on.
Okay.
So we get off the exit at Sugar Creek Road. Well, my dad's following us in his car with my family. You know, my mom and sister, because they always went to these shows when I was in the business.
Yeah.
So they're following Stallion, right? Go off the Sugar Creek Road exit up top. Stop at the light. I get out of the vehicle. That's when I was going to switch. I don't know why Stallion and my father thought this was smart, but they stopped there at the top of the ramp. I get out of the van, get back in my family's car. I'm ready to go home, right?
Right.
Well, Stallion just goes straight across to go back on the 85 to go off to like the W.T. Harris exit or the Tron exit. I can't remember.
He lives or something?
He lived in a subdivision down in there. Yes. So when he did that, this car comes through the light because Stallion actually had the light to go straight ahead or turn or whatever.
Oh, wow.
Car comes flying through, hits the side of the van, and it was just, we saw it. So luckily we wasn't out of there. He'd have been there and whoever it came. And
yeah.
But anyway, so.
Been in there too.
Yes, I could have been in there, but I wasn't. I had just gotten out, like I said. And so we see it. So we go back. We go to check on him because we were making sure he's okay. Because at this point, I'll be honest. At one point, I had a really good relationship with Stallion.
Yeah.
And I thought, and I have no heat with him, but we were really close at one time. And so I went back and checked on him. He has to go to the hospital, so he gets taken to the ambulance. Not whole 9 yards.
So where does this ring and van go?
That I cannot remember that night. It was probably towed somewhere. I'm pretty sure. But anyway, we go back to the hospital. We make sure he's fine. They check him out. And he goes, we take him home, actually.
Dang.
But just, it's a crazy story. But then at that point in my life, like I said, I was just broke in 93. This was 94 sometime.
Okay. So it's fresh.
I was still really close to the guy that broke me in the business.
Yeah.
And most people went through that area with Stallion and him. A lot of us got signed. That's the funny thing. Just like Omega, we talk about Omega. Yeah. A lot of the Omega guys got signed. It was just something about, and I make jokes about it all the time, something about the water in the Carolinas at one time, that talent was just so damn good. And, I hear good things about some of the kids now, but the thing is, I've been so out of the loop, I have no idea. I'd love to know, and I'd love to work some of these newer kids' matches because I know I can keep up with them still.
Yeah.
And I'd love to get in there and maybe I can help them learn how to work with a referee really well, that they're not learning from refs that don't know how to do it as well. So,
they just don't have the experience.
Yeah. But I always made that joke. And I've met talents years later that came out of the Carolinas, and I always said, there's something in the water. It's something about somebody that goes through the Carolina area of pro wrestling. Something you get a lot of good talent. I don't know what it is, but it's true. So, true statement. 100%.
Carolina water.
That's right.
Mm.
Yeah.
Some good water.
That's right. That is a commercial, right?
I think it's Deer Park.
Some good water.
Gastonia water.
Another thing that pops in my mind is another story pops in my mind was the Billy Graham Parkway exit. Has the Sheraton Hotel there.
Ugh.
That's where the talent would be picked up after the airport, like the names that we would bring in for these.
So it used to be a hot place back then?
I guess, but it was the hotel that was booked by the people helping Stallion with these big shows, bringing in talent. So I don't know. Because when WCW and them come to town, they would always use the Marriott Uptown. Okay. So I think it was just a hotel that they could get. That was really
that's true.
Yeah. So, but anyway, we go there. My dad and I would pick up the talent. So I remember the first year we did this was 94, because 93's Christmas show was at the new Coliseum in Charlotte, but no, other than Stallion and George that has done TV for Crockett and all that in the 80s and the 90s for WCW and WWF and all that, blah, 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 right? No one else on these shows were really any big name, any names, right?
Right.
In 93. So we did that at the new Coliseum. And I thought that was the coolest thing ever as a child to work in a venue that I got to go to. But 94 is when we started picking up the talent. And Stallion would provide the vehicle.
What did he give you?
He gave us a van. Again, it's something about them vans.
Oh God, like another U-Haul van?
No. It was a van that actually would seat.
Oh, like a
hotel shuttle van. Similar. Yeah. So we'd pick up all this talent, right?
Did you get, like, from the Avis rental car or something?
Yeah, we were from one of the rental car places. I can't remember which one. I think he had some deal with one of them off of South Boulevard.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine.
That's where we always got them from. Because when we picked them up, like...
I got them for free, too.
Well, that same year in 94, we already talked about me going to WWF TV at 16 with the rest of the guys.
So it's got a van history.
Yeah. We'd pick up the van at the same place on South Boulevard, whatever that.
Drive all the way to South Boulevard
from where we lived. Yeah, that's a good.
Yeah.
Charlotte's big, yeah, but yeah. So anyway, the 94 talent were names like Vampire Warrior, the Bushwhackers were there, Wahoo McDaniel, a lot of nice talent, right? And I got to work with the Bushwhackers for the first time, which I remember them growing up as a small child as the Sheep Herders. And they were actually a heel tag team. And they had all these great matches in the Mid-South region where they'd be bloody, like Bloodfest with the Fantastics and stuff. Really good stuff. But now they're like these likable guys, and they make faces, and they do this walk with their arms like this. Of course, nobody can see it because this is audio, but you're seeing me do it, right? They like this, and it was crazy. But they do this thing where they grab you and they lick you.
Ew.
Yeah,
Luke in the face?
Luke and Butch would lick you. Yeah.
What? Luke and Bush.
Luke and Butch would lick you.
Luke and Butch.
Like Luke, you're my father.
Would lick you.
Yeah.
All right.
That's part of their gimmick, part of their shtick.
But that's some brave shit right there.
Yeah, but they had some good tag team matches there. We did 2 shows that year at the Grady Cole Center near the old stadium in Charlotte, and they worked Terry Austin and Austin Steele, which Austin Steele was like our nature boy. He had blonde hair like Flair, did the whole 9 yards.
Oh, nice.
And then Terry Austin was a really good talent. Flaming Youth Star Rider. Flaming Youth was Chad Bird. Came through different incarnations, I guess, recarnations, like a creation. It was like 3 or 4 different.
Like changing.
Yeah. Okay. 3 or 4 different Flaming Youths over the years, but this was Chad Bird's. Chris Hamrick was there. Scott Powers. George was already gone for this one. He was back by the 95 one we did. Okay. But really good show, top to bottom. Had 2 shows, a day show and a night show. Both were packed.
Good Lord.
Yeah. And, Northside Baptist Church sponsored it. It was all about trying to get church members for the most part.
How
But
much in tickets?
this is the fun thing.
The fun. Oh, they were free.
It was free to the public. It was all about just trying to get members for the church. Yeah.
How'd that work out?
But look, they put all this money out to do these events too.
Right.
So, but yeah. I don't know how the members went about that and all, but
it just seems
it's
a little odd.
It's just what they did. I don't know the insides of it.
Right.
But once again, at this time in 94, I was 16. In 95, I'm sorry. Well, I was only 17 when I did the 95 one because I had left Stallion for a few months. And
so they did this every year
for
at the
a while.
Church?
Not at the church. They had arenas. They rent the arenas.
Oh, but it was for the church.
Yes. Remember I just said it was Grady Cole and the new Coliseum, and then 95 they went to the old Coliseum, which is now the Bojangles Arena.
And what do they do? Just say, hey, come to our church?
They give out tons of free tickets. And they'd be promoted. Their name would be on everything.
Okay.
And yeah. So
all right.
Yeah. That's how it went. But the shows were phenomenal. As a wrestling fan, if you got to go to that, even if you paid, even if they charged something, I think they would have had a crowd because they had good little cards.
Yeah.
But giving it away free, that's a steal. Because I remember 95s. I went to 95s. They had a Nitro at the old Coliseum. About a week or two before the Stallion show,
Mm-hmm.
and we promoted the crap out of their show from the Nitro crowd.
Oh wow!
Because wrestling was hot.
Yeah.
By the mid '90s again, it was getting hot, and by '96, '97, it was blowing off the map again.
Nice.
So it was a good time to do these things. And then 95, Stallion worked, 94, Stallion worked Vampire Warrior. 95, he worked the Iron Sheik main event.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the midget story of the Sheik we told one other time.
Yes.
That's the year it happened, was 95. But yeah. So, speak of since we're talking about it right now, before I forget, the Vampire Warrior, his name is David Heath.
Okay.
He was married to Luna Vachon.
Was she a wrestler?
Yes.
Okay.
Very talented. Like we're talking about, she's on a Sherry Martel level, like I talked about before.
Okay.
The Lonnie Kai level. She was very talented. Had a unique gimmick. And she's passed away and such now. But him and her, sweetest people you'd ever meet in your life. Sweetest people. Nice. I remember him. We pick him up at the airport, and we take him back. Because he only came out the 1 year, but very talented guy. He later on became Gangrel, which anybody that knows anything about wrestling knows that. But a very good guy. And we went to Jacksonville, Florida in early 95. It was February 95. We did a show at the Naval Base. This was Stallion show, a sold show. So a sold show,
oh, wow.
Another sold show. Just like the Christmas shows are sold shows. Okay. Stallion's getting this money to put this stuff on. Okay. So the Naval Base show was a sold show from the Naval, I don't know, maybe it's government. I don't know how it works.
I know, I'm like, is that government funded?
So Stallion's, he's got Vampire Warrior, which is David on the show, Luna on the show. Really good card at the Naval Base. And it was a nice house there too. And they actually sold tickets to the Naval Base show, I believe. But nice house. It was good. It was really cold in Jacksonville that year in February. I remember that. But I also remember I used to get in the ring and wrestle and take bumps before the events. And actually got near with, which everybody knows him as Gangrel. I got in the ring with him, and that was kind of cool. That's a memory of mine, too. Being
wow.
Yeah, I wasn't even 17 yet. I was 6. No, hold on. Yes, I was getting ready to turn 17. So, not even 17 years old yet. But I don't think he even knew that because I went to TV where he was doing TV. And I was 16 years old, behind backstage getting paid and shouldn't even been there.
Nobody knows. Nobody knew your age.
No. Even though
Nobody probably even cared.
even though I still, when I'm clean shaven, I still find myself to have somewhat of a baby face in a way.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, I had it. I looked really super fucking young. So no doubt, no doubt. But good times. I wouldn't change anything that's happened to me or the instances in the business, because that makes us, and that's your life. That's what's given to you, and everybody else's walk is different than yours. Right. And the old analogy, and I'll probably repeat this on 80 different shows if we do it. I've done less than some, but more than others.
Yeah.
And that's the way I look at my life. So, but I'm very proud of what I've done. So
you should be.
Yeah. And one more thing, we'll move on from that era. Randy Sledge was Joey's. His real name's Joey Stallings. He lives in he did live. He recently passed away. He lived in the Lenoir area of North Carolina. Really good dude. He was instrumental in training me. Well, a lot of the guys at Stallions were instrumental in helping me become a referee, because I was a kid. I had to learn how to do this and do that, right? Of course, yeah. Be in this area and that area. He was instrumental in that, but I got to do a lot of matches with him and another guy by the name of Star Rider. They were the trainers, and they would teach me how to bump and take this move and do that move and all that. So really good guy, and it was really fun working with him over the years too. So I just want to say, that's another dude, which is not very much older than me, that has passed away, and it's kind of sad when you go through your years and you lose touch with all these people, and then all of a sudden you just hear that they pass, and it happens. I mean, but still, nonetheless, not good, right? Did I mention that Chris Hamrick was on these shows? Because I got a Chris Hamrick story. Okay.
Is it the dumpster story?
Not the dumpster story. Yes,
you did.
This Chris Hamrick story.
All I hear is Amy Tucker.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure. Well, this Chris Hamrick story goes as follows.
Yes.
We're doing a match in Forest City at the Armory. This was later on. This was probably 97-ish. Because I've been in and out of Stallions off and on over the years. When I need to fill in a booking on a weekend, I didn't have nothing else. Stallion was running, they'd let me work. So I'd go back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
So Hamrick would, this night, the bottom of his boot comes off. The sole comes off his boot.
Okay.
So he uses it in the match behind my back.
Oh.
Around me. Knew how to work around, the old school where you work around the ref misses it, right? Well, at one point, the crowd's pointing, and I'm not shitting you. He puts it in his trunk, his tights. He wore long tights, but he puts it in long ways.
Oh.
Like this way, in his tights. And he's like, I ain't got nothing, ref. And he's looking right at me, and you can see the whole sole imprint.
Oh my God.
Right there. And I still played like I didn't see it. The crowd was so hot. But just stuff like that. And I also remember one time, I don't know what happened. I guess one of us was out of position for the super kick. And when I turned into it, got kicked right in the throat.
Ugh.
Yes.
That's a nice surprise.
At that point, this is like the mid-90s still, I'd probably work every Friday, Saturday, Sunday at least, sometimes Thursdays, Wednesdays, Tuesdays. Ooh. Sometimes it seemed like 6 days a week.
Wow. That's amazing you found that much work.
There's a lot of indies. I don't know if that means running now, but it was then.
I don't know.
But I'd find the work from different promoters. And, a lot of guys will say, hey, well, this promoter over here is a mud show. And this promoter over here is...
What's the mud show?
Mud show is an outlaw promotion. But I hate to...
Aren't they all?
That's what I was about to say.
Okay.
Most of the time, every promotion on the independent circuit is considered an outlaw show because it's not a territory no more. There's no territories.
Yeah.
It's just face the facts. And if you're not on the national circuit, which was WWE right now, AEW, TNA, or one of the ones that are There's a couple others out there. It's a little more known. You're really on an outlaw show, but
Oh, okay.
but that's where they got the name Mud Shows.
Okay.
All I was going to go into detail here was not really to pick a promotion and say one's better than the other. I was
Right.
just going to say I was getting work where I could get work.
Yeah.
And if I work 6 days a week, so be it.
Right.
I don't care if
It's a lot of hot dogs.
that's a lot of hot dogs. Had the Bobby Hill gout if you keep that
Oh
up.
God.
Yeah.
One deli sandwich and you're fucked.
That's right. You're out, bud. You're out. But I look at like I enjoyed working 5-6 days a week back in the day.
Right.
Because that's all I did.
I'm sure.
That's all I cared about. That's all I wanted to do. And
Wow.
99, like we talked about before, was my best year. I'm telling you right now, 200 and some shows. That's not matches. I'm saying shows.
Ugh.
So I probably refereed God knows how many matches. I'd have to go count. But 99 was my best
I can't believe you ain't got that written down
independent
somewhere.
year. Well, I got all my results written down. I just don't have. I didn't count the matches. I'd have to literally go back and say, "Oh, do 1, 2, 3." You know what I'm saying?
God.
Yeah. But and then of course when we talk about Carolina memories, working with the Hardy Boys for the first time, their promotion NFWA, moving on to Omega with them, just phenomenal athletes, and some of them are still working to today, and just made a lot of good friends in Carolina, and just being in Carolina brought all this up, and that's why we're talking about it today.
That's good. That's a lot of.
Yeah, I I was told one time, I was at one of Greg Price's Fan Fest in Charlotte at the Hilton. And they had a press room there. And this year they had like Dusty Rhodes and the Briscoes and you name it. Whoever Greg had there, it was a name. They were in this press room. Well, I was standing outside and I didn't go in at first.
What are they doing there?
That's where all they went. All of them went in there and talked, and then there'll be other people there like that's doing interviews and different things.
Okay. So
but most of all, it was for the guys to be together.
Okay.
Away from the fans that they saw all day signing and all this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Break. Okay.
So I was standing outside and I remember this vividly, and I remember I had made a comment. I was like, yeah. I said, I hadn't got my picture taken with Dusty, which I got it a little bit later. But I said, I don't know about going in there.
Yeah.
And I will say this, and this is true as the day is long, and I'm not lying. George South looked at me and said, you have every right as anybody else to be in that room.
Wow, he told you that?
He told me that. And so I went in the room. And I got my Dusty Rhodes picture.
Yay.
And speaking of Dusty Rhodes.
He is right.
Yeah. I mean, because,
well, that was nice of him.
Yeah, I mean, it is true. But, you know me. I've always thought, I've always tried to show respect to the guys before me, and I didn't want to overbear myself to them. I
understand that, too.
And we're not talking about just your buddy you've worked with over the years. You're talking about Dusty Rhodes.
Yeah.
That I never even. I mean, I've met him over the years a few times, but I didn't know him.
Yeah.
Like down the earth. I don't know him that way.
Right.
So just to be able to get my picture with the guy and all that, and another one I'm pretty sure I got my picture taken with one year, and I cannot find it. I got to go find it. It's with Mr. Wrestling #2. That was my first favorite wrestler.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I got that picture somewhere.
I think you do.
Yeah, I got so much memorabilia and so many pictures from the old days. I just got to go through that. But all that stuff means a lot to me. My picture with Lawler means a lot to me.
Yeah.
My only regret with Lawler, and this is not a Carolina story. We're jumping off. This is a Tennessee story. when we lived in Nashville, there was the old ticket office. I guess it was what it was
at the fair. At
the fairground arena.
Yeah.
And so I'm sitting in there by myself dressing away from the normal dressing room because then you got the breezeway on each side because remember the heels and the faces dress away from each other. They kept us separate. So the referee didn't matter where he dressed, because you'd be running back and forth around the building all night relaying messages.
Okay.
So it wasn't like, oh, we're all in the same room. So this night I was had to be the face side, because Lawler was a face at this time. Yeah, because Colorado Kid was working him, I think, and Colorado was a heel. So I was on the face side of the building, which was the front entrance side, not the back end. If you remember the fairgrounds, I don't know.
Oh, I do.
And so I didn't dress out in the breezeway,
Right. Well, I'd hope not.
And I didn't dress. Well, no, it was covered.
Oh, it was?
Nobody could see me.
Oh.
But I didn't dress out there.
Okay.
And I didn't dress out in. I didn't dress in the main dressing room, because after so many guys get in there, it's small.
I'm sure.
And the shower was in the corner, really small place at that building. And then so that little ticket office place was over to the left there as you walk in. So I dressed in there by myself. Well, Lawler comes in the room, and all he says to me is, "Hey," we spoke to each other, pleasantries, and he says, "You don't mind if I dress in here with you, do you?" I'm like, no, I do not.
No.
But so me and Lawler shared a dressing room by ourselves. And here's the sad, we talked a little bit, but here's the sad thing, and I'm going to tell you every time, and now the older I got, the more I regret to these guys, and especially someone that you had the opportunity to, was talking to you, taking their time out of their day, being nice to you. Why didn't you mark out just a little bit and tell them how important?
Because you were told not to. You were taught not to.
We were broke. Stallion's main thing.
You were taught not to do that.
Stallion's main thing we broke into business was, don't be a mark around these guys.
Yeah.
And
I think it would have embarrassed him more than it would y'all.
Maybe. But it bothers me now that I didn't take the time out and tell Lawler, hey, you were so instrumental in my career. Every time I got to work with you meant something to me. And guys like him, and then Ricky Morton's another one. I always liked him growing up. Ricky's the kindest, most sweetest guy. Yes. Bobby Eaton is the same way, and Bobby's passed away. Bobby would give you the shirt off his back if he thought it would have helped you. You don't find too many guys in the pro wrestling business that do things like that. But there's a lot of good people in it. Morton's one. Bobby Eaton was a great one. When we was in Charlotte, not Charlotte. We had that wrestling show back in October down near Raleigh. I can't remember the name of the town now. Clayton?
This year?
Yeah. It was the one we went to, the Halloween wrestling show we went to. The one with the
Harry? No.
It's Clayton. I think it's Clayton. Yeah. Yeah, we'll go with that. Clayton. It was Clayton Fitness Center. Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, so we're down there, and I got to meet Arn Anderson's son for the first time.
Oh, yes.
And I actually told him, I said, the one time I got to work with your dad, it was against David Flair on Thunder. And he goes, yeah, I remember that one.
Oh, God. He does.
And
well,
I go, yeah. I said, but I'm going to tell you something. I said, it meant as much to me as if I'd got to work with your dad in his prime. Yeah. So, and I mean that, because Arn was another one I grew up as a kid. At first, before I got to understand the business more and enjoy the heels as much as the baby faces. But when I was a small kid, I was more of a fan favorite type fan.
You didn't care who that, you just like the person.
So I would go for, go for the Rock and Roll Express, and they'd be working the Andersons, and I wouldn't like Arn and Ole. Yeah. Okay. But when I got older, I started realizing how the business worked. And I started realizing that, oh man, it's cool. This guy's cooler than that guy, and the heels are cool. And probably by 88, became a big fan of Arn and Tully as heels.
Wow.
And they moved to the WWF as the Brainbusters. And I loved them in the WWF as the Brainbusters. Got the WWF tag titles, got to beat Demolition. They worked the Hart Foundation. They worked the Rockers. They just had so many classic matches within a year span. It's not even funny. But my favorite matches of Arn and Tully were when they worked the Rock and Roll Express, or they worked the Midnight Express when the Midnight Express was turning face. That was in '88 before they left. They dropped the belt to Bobby Eaton and Stan in Philadelphia that year, and I remember that. But But yeah, countless times growing up, guys, I went to all the Charlotte Coliseum shows, went to Greensboro Coliseum as a child. When I got to know what an independent show was,
Oh,
I
Lord.
started going to them all the time.
Were you like, what's this?
Oh, it was.
Or you still liked it?
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah.
Everything
a little
about
more intimate, I guess, but not as.
well, everything about pro wrestling I loved,
Yeah.
and I still love pro wrestling to today. And it excites me sometimes when I think about what I got to do, and the guys that a lot of guys. Yeah, here's the true thing, and we'll end this podcast this week on a note. I'm gonna tell you right now. They tell you don't meet your heroes, right? That is true in some instances.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna tell you something. When I was a child and I wore bandanas and I thought I was a rock and roll express, and I got to meet Ricky Morton, and I get to work with Ricky Morton, and he is the nicest guy you ever meet. What do you think that did to me? That made me go.
Yeah.
It made me go, hey, I'm glad I got to work with this guy.
Yeah.
I'm glad I got to know him just a little bit.
Right.
You know. And when I got to meet Bobby Eaton, what do you think I said? I said, this guy's too nice for the damn business. And it's true. He was so nice because a lot of the guys are not as nice as that. You know, and another prime example, and it was just brought up on a podcast the other day I was watching about how you either get one side of Ric Flair or you get the other.
Oh.
And the side you don't want when he's out with a bunch of people drinking. And I'm going to be very honest with you. They are right about that.
Yeah.
Rick turns into something else he's not. But if Rick's talking to you and you're at the show and he's wanting to drop beers off in the dressing room for the boys, nicest guy you ever meet. Once you get way too many in him at the bar.
Well, that's almost anybody, though.
I guess. But, you know, all due respect, he's still one of my top favorites because he put so much into this business and he's great. As a performer, he's the greatest you'll ever see. So, but anyway, just remember, it's not always true what they tell you. Sometimes your heroes you meet are great people. Sometimes they're not. Yeah. But you got to take that chance. You got to do it.
Sometimes you feel like
you got to do it.
Sometimes you don't.
That's right. That's an Almond Joy commercial. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So, hey, guys, I hope you like some of the stories we were telling this week. There's just a few that popped in my head. The ones we talked about from the early days popped in my head, and we went off in a different era. We went off somewhere else right now.
Yeah, Sugar Creek Road.
Yeah, and then we started talking about Tennessee. I don't know. But here's the thing. I enjoy talking about pro wrestling. It's you know, I miss being on the road. I miss being in that ring all the time, and I miss being around the shows. But that's just what happens sometimes. But just remember, the Hot Dog and a Handshake Tour is happening in 2025. Ooh. So hit that email, wrestleref123@gmail.com.
You know, at Sheetz, you can get 25-cent hot dogs.
That's interesting. Maybe
or they're $2 for $1.
Maybe the indie promoters should start doing that because that sounds really cheap.
Pretty cheap.
Yeah. Huh. Interesting. Yeah.
Or 2 for 50 cents. I don't
know anything about that.
Yeah.
I know you got a friend that works there.
I do. Maybe like her discount there. She gets 2 hot dogs for 50 cents. That's a damn.
I don't know. Interesting. So, guys, hit me up. We want to go on that Hot Dog and a Handshake Tour. We want to have some fun. I want to get back in that ring. I want to get some seminars in.
Yeah.
I want to help the younger talent because, you know, a lot of guys say we're taught to leave the business in a better way than you came in it. And I don't have a problem doing that.
Yeah.
Because just to see, I've met them over the last 10 years I was in the business. Florida, I met a lot of these guys. They are so hungry. They want to learn.
Some didn't.
Some did. And the ones that wanted to learn, I always enjoyed being around. And
some you wanted to.
Yeah. Some just are in it because they think it's. A lot of guys get in it over the years because they think it's cool. I was never that guy that got in it because I thought it was cool. I got in it because I loved it.
Right.
And it was my childhood dream. So let's bring it back. Have the tour next year. Send your questions in as well for the podcast. Don't forget about cowboyrevolution.com. You save that 15% with what code?
Jamie T123.
That's right. It's easy to remember. That's what I do best. I count. So, hey guys, we'll see you.
Counting that money.
Who knows? A hot dog and a handshake tour.
Yes.
Woohoo! Have a good one, guys.
Have a good night.
Till next time.
Yes. Thank you.
See ya.
Bye.
In the middle of the rain, you decide everything. You keep the chaos in the rear. You're the leader of this land. Every call you make is law.